Hey, how's it going? If you don't know me, I'm Kovduck. I read and write about crypto, and I just started this YouTube channel where I'll be making crypto guides, investing tips, and how to's, and essentially everything else to help you become a better investor. I just got this new mic, so the audio should be better. Let me know how it is. Today, we're talking about the common investing mistakes. So, before I started investing and trading crypto, I was doing the same with stocks. And during all of this, I made so many mistakes and lost a lot of money. And I see a lot of people making the same mistakes that I did. So I decided to make this video that covers a lot of the beginner mistakes and how to avoid them. And sometimes there really is no other way to learn other than through losses. But being aware of these common mistakes can help you catch them quickly and hopefully minimize your losses. And before I start, by no means this is financial advice, and I'm not a financial advisor. This is just for educational purposes only. So let's get into it. The first one is the sunk cost fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy is this phenomenon that essentially says that once you invest resources, time, money, anything, uh, and you don't see the results that you wanted, you tend to make bad decisions in an attempt to recoup your initial investment. For example, you're holding a token and it goes down in price, but you don't sell and continue to hold on to it because you're hoping that it'll go back up. I failed to cut losses in time many times before because I thought I'm already down 50%. How much lower can we go? And every time I did this, I regretted it. 50% of something is better than zero. Take this market. A lot of folks are still holding on to random coins because they lost money and hope that it'll go back up one day. Unfortunately, most of the coins aren't going to make it. This one time I was holding a coin and it went to the all time highs and then it fell down. I kept holding on to it, hoping it would go back up, but it never did, and I lost way more than I would have if I just sold it then and cut my losses. A good way to avoid this is to just be aware and keep thinking about it. When you're holding on to something and it's falling in price and you have this urge to hold on to it, remember this. And if you don't have any reason beyond just this baseless hope, a good idea would be to cut losses right there and sell it. 50% of something is still better than zero. So we have FOMO. This is a super big one, and it's super hard to resist the urge of aping into a coin that's pumping. It feels like everyone's talking about it, everyone's posting screenshots of huge wins, and everyone made millions except you. But that just isn't the case. It's super hard to resist the urge of joining them, and I've done this countless times, and it's always ended up in losses. FOMO players rely on hype. They pump real hard and then they dump. By the time everyone's talking about it, it's most likely too late already. If you jump in then, you'll be the one left with the hot potato and you're gonna get dumped on. With this too, awareness is key, right? So next time you find yourself late to the party and have this urge to jump in and somehow make money off this pump, remember this and resist that urge because you're gonna get dumped on. We have not taking profits. This is a super big one that a lot of people are struggling with in this market right now. And it's a very, very common mistake. When I started out, there was this one trade where I flipped $500 into 11K unrealized by pure luck. And I was super happy. The adrenaline was pumping. I was staring at the screen 24/7, but I became greedy, right? It went up so fast that I was hoping it would go higher, and I didn't take profits. But it did just what every pump and dump does. It crashed. In the bull run, everything was pumping, and people didn't really take profits. When the market became bearish, the people who didn't take profits and stuck to their bad bull market habits suffered. And a lot of the blood you're seeing right now is because of that. At the end of the day, real money is better than just numbers on a screen. Real gains are better than unrealized gains. So take those profits. Number 4, don't revenge trade. Revenge trading or investing is when you're upset or angered by a loss, so you make a bad, impulsive investing decision that you normally wouldn't make because you're tilted and angry. Don't allow one loss to cascade into a string of losses, right? It's super easy to be triggered by a loss and let the emotions take over. And this always ends up being a poor decision that your calm, rational self would never allow you to make. A good rule to have to avoid this is to step away for a bit when you lose some money and you find yourself becoming angry and upset and have this urge to jump right in and buy something else because you're not thinking straight and you're inevitably going to make a bad decision. Number five, we have the cults. Cults and echo chambers can be super hard to beat, right? We saw this with Terra. Anyone who criticized them was torn to shreds. And as a result of it, so many folks were sucked into these echo chambers and lost money. It's super easy and almost natural to kind of get emotionally attached to your bags and worship them and surround yourself with similar people who also think the same way. But the problem with that is there's never any constructive debate, constructive criticism. It's always just shilling stuff, rocket emojis, and that's just an echo chamber, right? And a lot of teams and scammers utilize these sort of echo chambers to scam people, right? Because if no one can criticize them, no one's going to go against them. So always be on the lookout for these echo chambers and make an active effort to avoid them. If you don't find someone criticizing the asset or offering another viewpoint, or if you find someone who criticizes it and that they get torn to shreds, you're in an echo chamber. We saw this with Terra. Al God, Jack, Neil Wald, a bunch of people called out Terra, but they got destroyed by the Luna community and it ended in disaster, right? So stay away from these bad environments. It's bad for you as an investor. It's bad for your development as an investor, and you're probably going to lose money. So when you find something like this, just run. 6. Don't be in love with yesterday's narrative. Narratives in crypto change super fast. Every cycle, we have a new superstar, we have a new big thing, a new revolutionary thing. But things move really quickly here. And if you're stuck on an old narrative and you don't consider new ones, you're going to miss a lot of good opportunities. So be thoughtful and be open. Crypto was dismissed by mainstream media for a lot of dumb reasons. And a lot of that was due to narrow mindedness and ignorance. When new things come to crypto, don't make the same mistake that the masses are making about crypto, right? Don't say it's impossible without doing any research. Do your research first. Consider the slim chance that this actually does become a thing, right? In that case, what are the different things that need to happen for this narrative to become the big thing, right? And is that realistic? Investigate more, dig into it, and if it is, you have a new narrative. So always be open. New narratives come every cycle. On the flip side, also have conviction in yourself when it's justified. If you've done your research and believe in something based on certain reasons, it's easy to lose faith over time because, it's hard to have that conviction over a long period. Or if the echo chambers are against it, or the masses, crypto Twitter is against it, it's hard to still stick with it and it's easy to doubt yourself. But learn to stick to your guns. And I think that's a big edge, right? And if you're wrong, you can always go back, reflect, learn from it. Having this sort of conviction takes time to build, but it's necessary to be a really good investor. So have faith in yourself when you've done the research. Number 8, sometimes things don't make sense, but it's probably your fault, right? Sometimes the market follows no logic, shit hits the ceiling, everyone on Twitter turned out to be wrong. But despite that apparent lack of logic, there's always something you could have done better. You could have managed your risk better, you could have allocated better, you could have taken some profits, or maybe there was something you didn't consider. As I became a lot more critical of my decisions and I reflected upon them, it's very clear to me that I could have done a lot of things differently, right? Don't blame the market. Use the opportunity to learn. Number 9, don't avoid critical reflection. This is a huge mistake that a lot of people make. It's that they don't really reflect critically about what they are doing. When things don't go as planned, people like to put the blame somewhere else. They blame the market, they blame the influencer they liked, etc., etc. Or even if they did acknowledge the mistake, they don't really think about why they made it. Critically think about your investing decisions. Why did you do that? What were the factors that led you to think that way? What could you have done differently? Keep asking why, keep digging in, and make an active effort to identify these biases. Something that helps with this is to have some sort of trading journal, investment journal, or just write down the reasons behind why you want to invest in something. And then after you do it, go back and reflect and write down more things. And that's a really good way. It's a really good habit to inculcate into your trading and investing. It's probably the best way to become a better investor fast. Number 10, make sure you check unlocks. Institutions and VCs get tokens in a much higher quantity and at a much cheaper price than most of us do. But there's something called the vesting period. It's the period during which they can't sell their tokens. But when it unlocks, they can sell them. And when they dump, the price tanks. Especially in this market, VCs are looking to dump and become liquid again. So knowing when the token unlocks is super important. There are some Twitter accounts that aggregate unlocks, and you can follow them to know when things unlock. You can also check unlocks with Etherscan, but that's a whole nother topic that maybe I'll dive into in a future time. But for now, I'll leave a guide below on how you do that. Number 11, ignoring your rules. We know that we ought to allocate properly, diversify, practice good risk management, and yet we ignore those rules. One of my rules was to not have more than 5% in risky plays, but when things were pumping, I ignored it and put in more than I should have. And I ended up losing more than I would have if I just stuck to my rules. Especially in this bear market, ignoring your rules will get you slaughtered. Having good risk management is the key to survival, and it's the key to making money. This is one of the things that a lot of people learn the hard way. I certainly did through losses, but hopefully you won't have to. Don't underestimate good risk management and stick to your rules. Number 12, not differentiating between short term and long term investments. You can make money off of pump and dumps if you play them right, but short term plays are all about the hype. You get in early and get out quickly. If you're the last one holding it, you're gonna get wrecked. Hype is fleeting. These short term investments tend to be bad long term investments. So understand that there are different ways to approach them and don't try to hold them long term. Number 13, not being patient enough. Now, I'm pretty impatient, so I make this mistake a lot. There have been times when my theses were right, but I wasn't patient enough to let them play out. There really isn't a get rich quick scheme. Pay attention to the fundamentals and follow your rules. Chasing shitcoins and trying to make it all in one trade does not happen. All of the traders and big guys who you see on Twitter who make millions of dollars, they've been in the game for a long time and they know what they're doing, right? They didn't just get lucky off of one trade. Well, maybe they did, but it's not repeatable then, right? So for the majority of folks, this just does not happen. Generational wealth takes a long time to build, so you need to wait it out. Next, we have the halo effect. It's natural to look around on Twitter and think of big influencers and traders and investors as these amazing giga chads who know everything and are at a different level than you. But especially after talking to a lot of them and getting to know them, it's pretty evident that they're just normal guys. Maybe they got lucky, maybe they were in the game longer, or they got in earlier, maybe they just worked harder than you. But the truth is, they're just like you, and you can get there too. So take their word with a grain of salt. A lot of these guys are using their audiences as exit liquidity. Don't put them on a pedestal. Don't view them through this halo lens. Get it, be consistent, be patient, and you'll get there too. Number 15, not considering where the money is coming from. Crypto is full of Ponzonomics and Ponzi's, especially in the bull run. 1000% APY sounds amazing, but money just can't magically appear. If you don't know where the money is coming from, it's coming from you. In your research, look for where the value comes from. Consider the fundamentals and figure out if it makes sense. This can be its own video, and I'll make one soon, but remember, always look out for this, keep asking where it's coming from, and keep digging in until you find it. Because otherwise, it's coming from you, and you're gonna get dumped on. Number 16, investing without really understanding how things work. Crypto is pretty complex, and there are multiple layers to it. A common mistake that beginners make is that they tend to invest without really understanding how things work and how these different layers work. A new liquidity pool or another chain may have 500% APY, but have you considered the impermanence loss, the gas for multiple transactions, where the value is coming from, whether it's a Ponzi, and how it works, whether it's legit and sustainable or not? There are a lot of things that people ought to understand before they put their hard-earned money in somewhere, and I see that a lot of beginners are captivated by these big numbers, the 500% APYs, the 1000% APYs. But the problem is, it isn't that straightforward, right? Money has to come from somewhere, and there's a lot of layers to it, and you need to understand how these different layers work, or you're not going to get your money back, and you're definitely not going to make any money on it. And that's it. You can't really avoid mistakes, but you can minimize the damage by being aware, being critical, and reflecting upon your mistakes. Some of the things in this video deserve their own video, and I'll definitely get to them. So let me know what you guys want to see next, and I'm happy to, make a video on that. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. I hope this was useful to you. Make sure you like and subscribe. I have a lot of crypto content coming in every day, so subscribe for that. Also, follow my Twitter at govduck. I'll leave it in the description below for daily insights, breakdowns, and threads on crypto. That's it. Thanks for watching.